Hi, I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching The Sit Down. Susie Essman's here with us. Curb Your Enthusiasm is back.
Yeah, baby.
Really nice to meet you. We were just talking off camera. 20 years of your life.
I know.
Like, it's crazy. Think about how much is different.
It's a long time. You know, and as I was just saying to somebody, I've been married to Jeff longer than I've been married to my real husband.
And you guys have had your ups and downs in that marriage.
Yes, we have. Way more than in my real marriage.
How long have you been married in real life?
We've been married 11 years, but together 16.
Wow. And you've known Jeff since when? Like the 90s?
Well, I've known Larry since 1986. I think I met Jeff whenever Jeff moved to New York, because we were all stand-ups, we were all comics. I think it was 89 or 90 something. I'd known him from way back.
What do you remember about that time? I mean, New York is obviously an amazing stand-up community, but specifically what sticks out to you?
Well, you know, so many things. Like I remember I met Larry at Catch a Rising Star, 85, 86. I started in 84. He was already been doing it, you know, for a while. I remember Larry standing at the bar telling me all his tales of woe about his dating life, which all that ended up being George storylines. Wow. Yeah, like I watched it, I was like, oh, I remember when he told me about that. You know, so, and then, you know, of course, then he got married, and then he got divorced, and then he was rich and famous, and he had women throwing themselves at him. How things changed.
It's amazing how somebody has used their life to just keep it rolling in TV.
Yeah.
Like with Seinfeld and Curb. I mean, it's been a perfect representation.
Yeah, it has.
How about for you, when you think about this journey from where you were in 2000 to where you are now, what have been some of the big moments?
Well, it completely changed my life. I mean, I remember the day Larry called me. I remember where I was standing in my apartment, and of course, at that time, I had a phone. You know, I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a cell phone. I don't know if it was a hard line. It might have been a portable. Okay. But, you know, it was big. And I remember him calling me up and telling me he had this part that he wanted me to do, that he offered me. And I was like, well, you know, what is it? Don't worry about it. You could do it. It was like, send me a script. There's no script. And, you know, and we had no idea when we did that first season that we were going to be here 20 years later and it was going to be so popular, because it wasn't in the beginning. It was very under the radar the first few seasons.
When do you feel like it cut through and became more popular?
Season 3, I remember just anecdotally people stopping me on the street a lot more. So that's when I think I was like, oh, people are watching this show, because the first few seasons they didn't watch. Or maybe they did, but it just wasn't.
People weren't talking about it the same way.
People weren't talking about it. And you know, you look back at those early shows and they're just as funny as the ones now. I mean, they all hold up. It's amazing how they hold up.
Definitely.
But, you know, besides the fact that we all look younger, in those, it's the same. The relationships are the same. The attitude is the same. The music's the same. It's all the same. I think the shows have gotten, I've noticed in the past couple of seasons, they've gotten denser. The storyline's gotten denser, and I could tell by when we shoot, they take longer. So I think they were a little more simple in the beginning, the storylines, and Larry's like jam-packing them now.
Yeah, I mean, the first episode of this season.
How much was going on in that episode?
Incredible how much was going on.
Yeah. That's Larry and Jeff Schaefer, who co-executive produces and writes everything with Larry. The two of them, what they jam into an episode is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we're just starting with Happy New Year. Right. We go to MAGA hats. We go to Harvey Weinstein. We go to divorced people getting back together in some way,
We go to
shape, or
sexual
form.
harassment.
Sexual harassment,
and there was a whole storyline. I was watching it last night, and there was a whole storyline that I did that was cut out.
Oh, really?
So there's even more. Yeah.
Well, you in that episode, you got that great hat going on.
I got that great hat. That was Larry's idea.
It was? Yeah. So how does something like that develop?
He saw that hat on someone, and he texts me, and he says, I'm going to make you wear that hat this season. I was like, fine. Yeah, Susie Green's outfits. I'm always fine with Susie Green wearing crazy. So then, you know, every season I have in my head with our wardrobe designer, Leslie Schilling, who's brilliant, used to be Christina Mangini, who was also brilliant. We come up with, just between us, a secret about Susie's wardrobe that season, like a secret theme. So this year it was hats. I got a lot of hats this season.
So what have been some previous themes for Susie Green?
Well, animal print is an ongoing thing.
Always a big one.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Her. Yeah.
That's her, you know, go-to.
That's her go-to. Yeah.
I think last season we had nautical. Nautical was last season. I think the season before was cowgirl. It was cowgirl, yeah.
What is it like playing that part? Because you've thought about it a lot, talked about it a lot, but like how freeing is it to go into that
It's
world?
the greatest job I ever had in my life. You know, I show up and scream and yell and curse and first of all, I show up on set and it's all my friends who work there. You know, Carol Leifer was a producer this season who's a comic that we all came up with, and Jeff and Cheryl and Ted and JB, we all are so close. So I show, and then all the behind the scenes people. There are crew guys who have been there since season 1.
Wow.
You know, so Thomas Kalarik, who's my makeup artist, he's been there since season 1. So it's family. So show up on set, it's family, you're having a great time, we're all laughing, and it's very relaxed because nobody has to remember their lines, which is great. And then I scream and I yell and I curse, and then they give me money and I go home, and they love me for it, and it's like the greatest job.
And I mean, if you're having a bad day, you can just come right in there and dump it on everybody else.
Just use it.
So you mentioned how...
Wait, not to say that we don't work hard, because we do a lot of takes.
There's a ton of work that goes into it.
And we do long hours, but I can't complain. It's the greatest job.
What else would surprise people? Because you mentioned about like some of the later seasons are more dense. Like it seems very free-flowing and fun, but what are some things we wouldn't really realize about the show?
I think people would be surprised at what close friends we all really are, because we're all so nasty and horrible to each other on screen, you know. But I always think that one of the reasons why Larry and I and Jeff, one of the reasons we could speak to each other in such a despicable way is because we know we're playing. You know, we know it's like we show up, it's like, okay, let's play. And, you know, I put on those crazy outfits and I just become her. And then I have the freedom to say and do whatever I want. So I think people would be surprised at how close we really are and how much we all really like each other. And also, when you're doing improv, you really need to trust and respect. Otherwise, you can't, it doesn't really work. And I think that we all have that with each other, where we really have tremendous amount of trust that nobody's going to try to sabotage the other or try to one-up. We just don't do that.
Had you done improv before this?
Yeah, I had. I was part of an improv group years ago, and I did a lot of it. And I'm a comic, so I always improvised my act.
Right.
I was one of Jeff, you know, we were the kind of comics that were always out there kind of free-flowing. And Jeff was in Second City also.
That's right, yeah.
And Cheryl was in the Groundlings. She wasn't a comic, but she was in the Groundlings.
Right, Richard Lewis, like the rest
of
so many different people.
He improvises everything. Did you ever see him on stage with his pad?
When you're thinking about your career, like, how did you build your comedy chops? Like, what were kind of the keys for you?
Comedy chops, the only way to build comedy chops is to get on stage every night, several times a night, day after day after day. I mean, when I was coming up in the 80s, I started 1984, 83, but I didn't really start doing it until 84. And I was at the clubs every night. Saturdays and Sundays was how I would make my rent. So I'd run around and do 6, 7 shows a night. Because that's, you know, you'd make $50 a show. That was like...
Right, that was a big deal.
That was a big deal. During the week, you only got what they called cab fare. So it would be $7 a show.
Jeez.
You know, and I would take the bus back and forth to Catch a Rising Star. I lived on the West Side. So like on a Saturday night, I could make my rent at that time in the 80s, you know. So that's how you get good. You just run around and do... I remember one year, maybe it was 1986 or something, I did 400 shows that year.
Wow.
And I remember that was when I got really good. That was when I went to the next level. You can't substitute for stage time. You just can't.
You need it.
Yeah.
When did you get to the point where it wasn't just rent money and taxi fare?
You know, I don't remember exactly. Probably late 80s, like 88, 87, 88, around there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, where I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was.
But more than.
You know, I could take cabs with the cab fare.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
What do you remember about like stuff you did in New York? Like when you weren't working, like where were some spots you liked to hit, or just places in the city you enjoyed?
Well, you know, I was in clubs every night. So usually on I never took a night off.
It was 7 days a week.
It was 7 days a week, and comedy clubs were like my cheers. You know, because I'd walk in, I'd know everybody, I'd know all the waitress, all the bartender, all the doormen, all the comedians were hanging out at the bar. So, and I was single in those days. So you didn't have to think about your social life. Like you were busy Saturday night, you were always working Saturday night. That was a big one. New Year's Eve, you were always working New Year's. That was a big money night. So I never had to think about social life or, you know, feeling lonely because I didn't have a boyfriend. Because you'd work till like 3 o'clock in the morning. Then you'd all go out to the diner. You know, and then it would be me and Chris Rock and Jon Stewart and Joy Behar and Mario Cantone. We'd all, you know, all the people that I came up, Larry, all the people I came up with, Colin Quinn. I'm leaving people out, but we'd all go out to the diner. You'd go over all your material. You'd all talk about your material that night. This worked, this didn't work. How could I make this work? and then, you know, you'd fall into bed at 5, 6 in the morning, and then you sleep all day.
What's it like for you to see?
Like drug dealers.
Yeah, it's quite a life. What's it like for you to see all these people all these years later, like from being in the 80s to still being friends with these people and still watching their stuff?
It's amazing because now we could all go out and any one of us could pick up the check.
Yeah. A little different back then. We're like, all right, who's going to pay for this? Do we have enough here?
Except Gilbert. He'll still not pick up the check.
No, he's a little cheap. Damn it, Gilbert, come on.
He's the funniest of everybody.
Well, he's really interesting because we had him a few years ago, and he's like super shy and awkward.
Yeah.
And then you get the camera on, and he's a whole different level.
To me, he makes me laugh more than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, his physical humor is amazing.
Yeah.
Who are other people that just make you cry laughing?
Oh, Larry.
Yeah.
I mean, Larry really makes me laugh. I mean, even it was Saturday, it was snowing, and they had a curb marathon on HBO. And I said to myself, let's just watch the old episodes because we haven't seen them in years, you know, and I'm cooking, making some stew and getting the mood for, you know, the premiere. And I'm like doubled over at him laughing. He's so funny. And I know what's coming.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I was there, you know, and he just makes me laugh so hard.
I don't know how you keep a straight face. Like you're watching the ventriloquist act, like in this last episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like amazing stuff.
You know, probably a couple of takes I laughed.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you do it a lot. So Larry laughs every take. He ruins all my best takes, by the way.
You're like, thanks, Larry.
Yeah, he ruins all my best takes. JB really makes me laugh.
Incredible.
Oh my God,
you see Leon come on screen, and you're like, I miss this guy.
The stuff that the improvs that he does, where he just goes off. They all, you know, everybody makes me laugh. Cheryl, I was watching Cheryl in this marathon, and I was thinking, Cheryl is so good in this show.
Yeah.
And she doesn't get the accolades for being as funny because she's more of a straight man character. Her acting is amazing on this show, and she's so funny, but in a different way. You know, she's differently funny than I am, who's screaming, yelling, and you know.
More subtle with it, but a really important character.
So, everybody, and Larry, I think has a genius for casting. I mean, all the little parts that he casts. And he auditions with all those people and improvs with them.
Yeah, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
There's not other people that are doing that in different shows. That's awesome. So when people check out this season, what are some big things you want them to take away?
Oh, God, I'm not allowed to talk about this season. There's just a lot of really funny stuff. I'm not allowed to, if I bring anything up, he'll kill me.
I won't get you in trouble.
No, you will.
We'll be watching.
Yeah, you just watch. It's really funny. There is a couple of storylines laid out in the first episode that will continue.
Okay.
You know, there's an arc that will continue, and it's just the thing I love about this season is because it's really silly. Like the arc that he develops is the most petty, silly, stupid arc you could even imagine, and it's hilarious.
And you guys go for it. It's everything.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
It's real life. Stakes are high.
Absolutely. We have issues at our coffee shop. We see people at the gym we don't like. I mean, that's real life. Good deal. All right, Susie, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you, DJ.
All right, for Susie, I'm DJ. See you next time. All right, let's sit down.